Hello and welcome to BeesTV. And it's two games on the bounce. It feels like two losses. We played Nottingham Forest today at home at the Brentford Community Stadium, winning in the first half through an Ivan Toney penalty goal. And then we looked on top of it. We looked good, but in the second half, it fell apart and it was an unfortunate goal that was given after a foul. Jatin, your thoughts on the game, please?
Uh, it's a tough one to take because that should have been a win as the Derby game. I said before the Derby game that there should have been 3 wins because I think next we play Huddersfield and they're both teams playing for they're battling relegation, so they should be 3 wins. But the Derby game I put on Frank and the players. But today it can only be the players because if anyone, I struggle to see how anyone could play Frank for today because really that we had the chances to take it. The players just weren't good enough. I was like, no matter in football, it's just that it doesn't matter what the manager says. When you go onto the pitch, it's your 11 players. So I struggle to see how in 2 occasions the players have gone from playing well to playing bad. How do you put that to Frank? I don't get that. That's not Frank can't do anything magical to make these players play badly. It's not a thing. It's just that if you're a player, it's that you just take accountability. And I think the players are getting a little bit an easy ride because it's people are targeting Frank more than the players. The players are good. Some of the players have not been good enough in some of these games. Tony's literally carrying our attack. Canos is not doing as much. Obviously, he's still coming back from a lengthy injury, but he still had a lot of sizable game time. Fosu, hot and cold in parts. I'm not sure where everyone gets this agenda for him to start every single game because some games he's just poor, and today he should have scored. That was poor decision making from him. Godos, he came again. He did well today, but then again, hot and cold. And then Buemo, he seems completely lost. I don't know whether it's because he lost Watkins and Benrahma, or is it just that Watkins and Benrahma made Buemo look good because he just looks so out of it. He doesn't look like the winger we had from last season, and it's just a tough game. It's just that. But there's still 9 games to go. We have 2 weeks of a break. The last time we had a break of that size was obviously after lockdown. After the lockdown, we won 8 games in a row. So I'm hoping that sort of comes back into it. If we win 8 in a row, then that's pretty much that's at least autos. Or if somehow Swansea and Watford keep it going, then that's at least comfortable playoff. Because that's all we have to fight for, right?
Yeah, well, you make some good points there. I agree with a lot of them. I actually kind of disagree on the Embuemo point. I think Embuemo did absolutely excellent today. He was running in. Of course, he did play excellent, but it's a matter of our players taking our chances, and that's what we didn't have today. You say we can't blame Frank, but what do you think about not making the substitutions at the right time? I think his first substitution was late on in the 60s or something. Should it have been made earlier? And do you think Frank is responsible?
That's hindsight. As being a manager, I'm not a manager myself, so it's tough to say. It's tough to blame Frank in December what time he makes a sub because how obviously he could make it 5 times eight, but that's hindsight, and I think that's just a bit of saying, oh, it could have happened. But in the end, like when the subs came on, only Godos made the real threat. Emiliano Force didn't make as much of a massive threat to win that game. So it's just saying that even if he brings subs even on the 45th minute, there's no guarantee they're going to do anything. On even if it's just hard because obviously Frank has to take some responsibility, but I feel like people are putting so much blame on Frank that it's him that's making these mistakes. It's him doing a lot of this. Obviously, he has times it's hard to make changes within the season, especially this season because I can't remember a time where we've had this. There's never been a time where we've had back to back to back games, and that's being generous, Frank. But there's not much time to work on tactics, work on anything because literally you are going from a Tuesday to a Saturday, and you only have a few days turnaround. You're going Saturday, Tuesday, then you got Monday, you got TV games, and you're going back to back for all these weeks. So I'm hoping that's why the internationals is giving time for Frank and obviously the players to get some rest and sort of work on some tactics. Work on defending corners, work on being defensively more stable. And it's just that Frank has to take some blame. But I think when the fans are calling for Frank out, they're entitled to that opinion. But I think it's a bit harsh on them because it's hard. How can you manage in-game management? He lacks that, and I think that's everyone realizes that. But at times, the players have to take some responsibility and say, "Listen, we're still professional footballers. Like, if we can't defend crosses on our own accord without having Frank to do it for us, I mean, Frank's the manager. He's not meant to baby cradle these players. They got to take some responsibility. And if we have to say blame Frank for not being able to defend corners or crosses, then that's just shocking because that's the players. That's the players. You get paid well enough. You should be able to defend crosses yourself without needing the manager to tell you so.
Yeah. Uh, fair play. Earlier this season, we talked a lot about how we're missing our front three from last season. How our front three last season was fluid, where we had a front three where they could swap and interchange and pretty much be fluid. Do you think we saw some of that at the beginning of the game today? I saw Tony a lot on the right side, Canos through the middle, and Buemo floating around. I saw remnants of it, and I think I saw in the first half, definitely, and a tiny bit of the second half, a much more fluid attack.
It's hard to play a fluid attack with Tony in there. Obviously, the way I think you have to adapt to the system is having both your wingers for free roam in the middle, which is what Benrahma did. Benrahma for a lot of his time used to sit just to drop into that 10 and sort of just play around there and just have a no position really. He could do what he wants in that middle, and he was good enough to do that. Do I believe Fosu, Canos, and Boema are good enough to replicate what Benrahma did? No, not a chance. So it's hard. And then obviously, if you want to play with a fluid front three, you need three players across that front line that can play anywhere. I don't want to see Tony on the left or right wing because why? Well, him putting in crosses for what? It just seems so wasteless. You have a 28 goal striker there, what far by the best striker in the league so far this season, and you're having him on the right wing. That just makes no sense. I'm not a manager, and you know what? But I don't think anyone that's watched football can see that you don't put your best striker out there. Watkins could do it because he could play left, right, or straight. That was the best thing about that front three, is that they could all switch around and players didn't know exactly who was going to play where. But with this, you're only relying on Tony and relying on Buemo, the wingers, to do that work for you. Because Tony, I don't want to see Tony go left or right. Because why? I don't want him. I want Tony in the middle of the box where he could do his best. If he's on the wing, then he's just wasted. We might as well just not play him. And I don't know if that's Frank trying to persist with this fluid three, or if that's just circumstances where the wingers float into the middle of the box. But it's a good system to have, a fluid front three. Liverpool play it, and they have arguably one of the best front threes in the world. But it's always hard when one of those players aren't suited to that system, and Tony's not suited to playing a fluid front three because he's not good on the left or right wing. There's no point playing someone there that's not good enough.
It's been 2 draws in a row, which feels like 2 losses. What are your hopes for the rest of the season?
It's always tough because I remember last season where we needed 2 points in the last two games, and I think this is I'm being hopeful in the sense that this 2 week break we get now from the international. If I was Frank, to be honest, I thought that we should have just kept everyone back. Even Pinnock, I would have said just keep everyone back. No one going international. No one, don't even dare think about it because we need everyone back. We need everyone to work on this. But obviously, it's harder for Pinnock. That's his first international cap, and you can't. It would be very hard done found if you got called back for your first cap because Frank said so. So I'm hoping in these 2 weeks we get to work on what we want, and hopefully tactically we can make some changes, and hopefully 9 games to go. If we get at least 5 or 6 wins, that's at least playoff secured. But also that could be in autos because it also depends on Swansea and Watford. I think that's the difference with last season. Last season, West Brom basically handed us nearly autos and we just didn't take it. This season, I think Swansea and Watford are battling hard for it. And I think that's the difference, is that now we're not facing against ourselves. We're facing two other teams, and it's going to be a close race to end. But hopefully this 2 weeks does wonders for us. And I hope after this break, we bounce back and we show what we can be like.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about 2 weeks, recovery, and bringing it back. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm just going to hope these 2 weeks are, worthwhile, because it's frustrating watching us play right now. Because, we can do some beautiful football, and it's obviously hard, but it's just, these 2 weeks are going to be very, very big for Frank and the players.
100%. We've just got to see, every week we say it, we've got to see what happens, and it's not done until it's done. Thank you very much for coming on today. Make sure to subscribe, little red button. Did you know it is free? Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.